Welcome to just this little last lecture series. I will track down and find those that nominated me for this responsibility. See if I can change some grades on the fly. But when Carrie asked me to do this, I thought, well, I don't want to just do a boring anatomy lecture. I teach human anatomy and physiology as my primary subjects. I also teach microbiology, medical terminology. I'm a chiropractor, right? So I'm a physician. And so I can pretty much teach anything biological now. But so when Carrie asked me about this lecture, I just didn't want to go blah, 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 anatomy, anatomy, anatomy. So what I thought I would do is hit some of the finer points on our various body systems and how being a student or even a human being, even if you're not a student, just the effort that our body goes through to keep us in our happy place. All right, our happy place is what's known as homeostasis. Many of you know that have had me for Anatomy 1 or have had Anatomy 1. That word should sound familiar. So I just thought about the things you guys do day in and day out. How does your body respond? What else can you do to help your body as well? Okay, I am full-time faculty here at the North Campus. I was hired as a part-timer back in the day, and as of today, I just was awarded my continuing contract. So holler at your boy. All right. And we're done. All right. And also, I added this morning. I was in your seat. I came back to school. I had my undergrads in business from Florida State. Yeah, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. All right. But when I decided to do a career change, I didn't have any science courses. And where did I go? FCCJ back in the day, instead of FSCJ, but I attended classes here, Deerwood, Kent, South, for a year and a half to get my science courses before I could go into my doctorate program. So I'm not an alum. I already had a degree, but I'm still one of you. I'm still one of you. Now, I felt obligated to put this in. I am a physician, but I'm not your physician, all right? I'm not your doc. So anything we talk about today is just kind of spitballing. So don't think of it as pure gospel. Do your own research. Talk to your doctor if you have things that you decide, I'm going to explore that a little bit more, okay? And then some of the little factoids I have, if you are one of those, like my wife, for instance. She's a nurse practitioner, so she's got her ducks in a row pretty well. She's like, well, you didn't cite this, you didn't cite this. And I'm like, honey, it's just a kind of a presentation in the library. It's not going for my thesis or anything like that. So if you want the references, like, hey, where'd you get that information? Hit me up, send me an email, track me down during class for many of you, and I'll share those references, okay? I love me some FSCJ because we have part of our mission statement addresses the diversity of our community. So look, we got a few more women than men attending, all sorts of different ethnicities we come from, and then even ages. I would have been, back in the day when I came back, I would have been in this 9.9. I came back, I was 32, I think, when I came back. It's never too, you're never too old. So you hear students, well, I'm an older student and this, that, and the other. That's baloney, all right? If you got the desire, it doesn't matter how old you are, all right? So while we may be diverse, that second line up top, if you can see that green light, you only have one body, all right? You got to take care of your body. There's no returns. Amazon's not going to pick up your body and give you a new one in 30 days or anything like that, okay? There's our beautiful campus too. All right, so some of the things about being a student, it just ain't easy. You may be student at FSCJ, you may have family to deal with, work to deal with, trying to keep it social. It's just not easy. You gotta find that work-school life balance. And so how do we take care of our body on a daily basis? And that second line, I tell that to my patients day in and day out. people take better care of their cars than they do their own bodies. I was driving down Beach Boulevard this weekend, and one of the car washes was just full of people, and some of them looked like they could have had some difficulty even getting out of their car. But they were going to wax that thing up and looking good, smelling good. So it's, we get oil changes every 3,000 or 5,000. You keep that tire pressure running. People take care of their cars better than their own bodies. And you can get a new car. You can get another car. You can't get a new body. This third paragraph here you see, that's nothing new. And it's well published that as great as America is, we rank pretty low when it comes to life expectancy, survival rate of newborns, and just overall health. And so this report that I dug up, Norway and the Netherlands, aside from winning plenty of gold medals in the Winter Olympics this time around, they're up there as far as top performing health in many different aspects. Look at that, US last, blah. Yet we spend the most on meds. There's this inequality of, well, why are we doing this? Why don't we flip the script? So last in healthcare, access to healthcare, health outcomes. We do plan, we're second on measures of care. So, hey, okay, you're sick, we should do A, B, and C. We got that down, but the follow-through seems to be a problem. This guy here, Dr. David Getoff, he's kind of out there, but I love the saying he uses. Health is not convenient, but it's not half as inconvenient as illness. You may think, well, I don't want to go exercise. I don't want to eat this instead of that. Guess what? If that all catches up to you, then you want to talk about a real change in lifestyle, real change in what you can and can't do. All right, becoming ill, getting ill is simply time consuming. In case you haven't gotten a bill from a hospital lately, it's quite expensive, okay, quite expensive. So again, we need to take care of ourselves as much as possible. And I'm just going to go through these various body systems. We could talk about any of these various topics all day long. So this is just kind of the things that would pop in my head, some of the items I've talked to with my classes, some of the items I've talked to with my patients. And so maybe some of it may be new to you, some may not. And I could certainly go on and on more about other problems within these body systems. Let's talk first about a system known as the integumentary system. That's your skin, hair, nails, sweat glands, oil glands, all that good stuff. Your skin is your largest barrier, all right? It's the largest continuous organ in the body or on the body. Keeps a lot of good stuff out. My anatomy, 2 types. Remember the Petri dish I just showed you, all right? We touch a lot of nasty stuff day in and day out, but it's a general barrier that helps keep us protected pretty darn well. If you like getting your hair did, you like having good nails, you like having good skin, one of the driving factors of good quality skin, hair, nails, diet. You are what you eat. You probably heard that expression from way back in the day. So what can you do to keep your hair, skin, and nails luxurious is watch what you eat. Now our skin also helps to synthesize vitamin D. Vitamin D has been shown to have multiple benefits across many body systems. When you're a student and you're trapped inside studying for your first exam in Anatomy 2, for instance, you don't get a lot of sunshine. But on a day like today, it's going to be 80 or so today, right? All you need is 10 or 15 minutes of sun exposure and your body's happy. All right, so get out there, get some sunshine, take a micro break from studying, get out in the sunshine 10 or 15 minutes, and your vitamin D synthesis is going to be outstanding. We don't have a lot of foods that provide vitamin D. All right, so somewhere on here, some fishy food. All right, so look at the various problems I put kind of a problem and some solutions. Right out of the gate, my wife had to chime in. So acne. Many of you are going through some spikes in hormones due to puberty. And my wife said, hey, well, tell them not to rest their hands or their head in their hands like this, and just don't sit there at the computer all day. And I was like, well, why? She said, trust me, I'm speaking from experience. She used to just sit there and read all day on the computer when she was studying. And she started to notice that her chin would start breaking out. Okay, oil on the hand, meat face, hello, okay, no brainer, okay, right? So things like acne can become more prominent because of puberty, but poor diet, stress can get those things flaring up. All right, so some solutions. Don't rest your head in the hand. There's my wife talking about her thing. Stress and the integumentary system. If you know what a cold sore is, if you have cold sores that flare up, you got the herpes. All right, you got herpes. Most of us do, at least for type 1. There's different flavors of herpes, but a simple cold sore, that just comes with being human. All right, so don't sweat it. But if you have a flare-up of cold sores, don't get out in the sun so much. Try to manage your stress, which I know is easier said than done, but still part of the integumentary system. It's also a virus, so that rolls into the immune system. Many of these little topics and points will overlap systems, but it is what it is. Shingles, that's more of a nervous system situation as well, but for those of you that have had chicken pox, and I talked about this in my class recently, if you've had chicken pox, that virus didn't fully clear more than likely. Even though you recovered from chicken pox, that virus went and hid in part of your peripheral nervous system called the dorsal root ganglia. And when you become 40 or so, 50 or so, and your career is driving you crazy, family life is stressful, money's tight, all of a sudden you might be like, what is this burning on my back? And you may see this line of pustules, hello shingles, which is chickenpox reminding you that it was still around. And so you get this burning like sensation along what's known as the dermatones, which is the cutaneous sensory component of our nervous system. There's a vaccine for shingles you may want to consider. Wrinkled skin, if you just on a normal day see that your skin has ripples in it, you may be less than well hydrated. So keep that fluid intake up. I think I wrote it, yeah. So a very, very generalized rule of thumb is take your body weight, divide it in half. That's how many ounces of water you should drink daily. Very broad statement. Some even say it's a little bit more than that. But for instance, I weigh 100 pounds, right? On the moon. So you didn't let me finish, but I weigh 100 pounds. If I weighed 100 pounds, that means I would need to take 50 ounces of water in and kind of see how my hydration level is at that point. Sunscreen. The benefits of sunshine for your skin and synthesizing vitamin D. If you know you're going to be out in the sun for a prolonged time, that first 10 or 15 minutes, go sunscreen-less. All right, don't slap it on before you go out for the long day. Go out for about 10 or 15 minutes, get a exposure to the sun, and then slap on your sunscreen. Okay, 30 SPF is good. The 50s and the 70s and the 100 SPFs, still debating to this day if it's legit. They still say nothing more than 30 will be any more effective. That's a debate. I'll let you kind of wrestle with that one. And since we live in Florida, watch out for, what's CA? Cancer. That's medical shorthand for cancer. So watch if you're out in the sun too much, since we live in Florida, skin cancer is always a concern. You got the ABCDE of skin cancer. It used to be ABC, then it went to ABCD, now it's ABCDE of skin cancer, that you can do a quick check on yourself or loved ones. And if it matches the ABCDE, you might want to go have a pro look at it. All right, speaking, I've had basal, I've had squamous, so my Spock ear over here, part of that is due to squamous in the helix of the ear. All right, so the integumentary, this little to-do list is a little boring of sorts, but still relevant. Watch your stress, stay hydrated, sunscreen, moving on, okay? Hair, nails, skin. You got genetics and hormones also play a role, but if you go look at your parents, for instance, and, hey, how's your skin doing? All right, watch your diet, and then you may have all boxes checked. Muscular system, skeletal system. Did I do one more? No. First question you're probably saying to yourself, is that you? Yes, it is. Thank you very much. I'm also a textbook model. So yes, that is me, and that is me as well, all right? Not really, but we'll just go with it. Now, this slide gets a little bit busier. When it comes, I combine the musculoskeletal because you've got the muscular system, helps us move about, keeps us upright, keeps us fighting against gravity. Skeletal systems are framework of our body, okay? This is probably one of the two systems that probably take it on the chin the most with student life. Why? Because we're sedentary. We're should be sitting at a desk studying, sitting at a desk during class time, maybe coming up to the LLC to study as well. All of that sedentary lifestyle starts to add up. Now, when you're 20, 30, you can get away with it a little bit more. Eventually, unfortunately, the way the human is, a lot of what you do earlier in life catches up to you when you get in this kind of appearance, okay? So, for instance, when we sit for too long, our muscles get stiff. Check this out. Where is it? We get more into a flexed position, all right? We start to, does this look familiar? I gotta write this paper. We get into this real flexed position where muscles get tighter. You get the anterior head carriage. We'll talk about that when I back up on the slide as well. We don't want to be this young lady on the left. We want to be more on the right, where we're upright. We're activating those extensor muscles to keep us upright. We use more of our flexor muscles than extensors. Again, a lot of this is engaging flexor muscles. Our extensors, the ones that keep us more upright, are saying, all right, fine, I'll take a time out and I'll just hang out and you guys do all the work. But after time, extensor muscles start to go on vacation. So this, or this, look familiar? This becomes normal to the brain. This becomes normal. And so when you put a person in the proper position, you're like, oh God, this is uncomfortable. Yeah, but that's where you were 15 years ago, okay? This isn't normal? No, all right? Your heart's a muscle, all right? Cardiac muscle. We'll talk some about that in cardiovascular system. Seat time, hip flexors, again, getting tight in your hips. If you sit for a long time and you feel this area tighter as you stand up, hip flexors, getting tight. We got to counteract that. Number 5, fancy term, de Quervain's tenosynovitis. Do this, thumb into your palm. Close your fingers around your thumb. Now bend your wrist towards your pinky side. Does that hurt right through here? Hello, de Quervain's tenosynovitis. Usually an inflammation of the tendons that move your thumb because of, oh, I don't know, this all day, this all day. So it's a lot of students, a lot of 9-to-5ers with office jobs will have a positive de Quervain sign. And that's showing that some of the muscles associated with the thumb are getting tight due to constant activity. Lack of exercise, again, due to number 1, you're sitting too long. Wolff's Law, those that had Anatomy 1, what's Wolff's Law? I'm sorry, speaking to the mic again? and the bone does something to the other thing. Wolff's Law. The size and shape of a bone is dictated by the activity and the stress placed on that bone. So with Wolff's Law, the example I like to give to my classes is when I went to school for my doctorate, across the street from the school was a YMCA, and it was in a retirement community down in Port Orange. And so maybe in between classes or maybe a little bit earlier before class was out, some of us would sneak over to the gym, and there's all these little old ladies and little old men getting their workouts on. And so here we start kind of thinking about it. Ladies, there's this magical time around 50 years old where hormones, estrogen in particular, bottom out. For females, estrogen is one of the hormones that keeps your bones strong. So why were all these little old ladies in the YMCA? Because their doctor said, go get your exercise on, challenge your skeletal system, keep your bones strong. Avoid osteoporotic bones and then therefore fractures. Fellas, at least we still produce testosterone in our entire lives, but we're still at risk, not nearly as much as the ladies, but we're still at risk for osteoporosis. Number 7, text neck. I don't practice right now, but this will probably put me back into practice because I'm going to be rich in about 10 years with everybody and their mother having this kind of look. All right, they're going to have this kind of look with their head is so far forward, it's not even funny. And then the general stat, your head weighs about 10 pounds. With each inch that your head goes forward from the norm, 10 times the amount of force is being applied near the base of your spine. Don't get caught, but as you're walking around, just try to check out people who may have, as it warms up, tanks on or something like that. Right at the base of the spine of the neck, C7T1, that area on a lot of people with text necks gets larger. And there's a pathology called Cushing's that's a hormonal problem that mimics what text neck looks like. So a lot of people are like, oh, that lady she's got Cushing's disease. I learned about that in anatomy. Nope, text neck, text neck, text neck. Because Cushing's is a little bit, well, certainly more rare than, Cushing's is more rare than text neck for sure. So don't walk around going, hey, you got Cushing's. It could be just text neck, all right? One of the things I did on this slide, because I could talk about this stuff all day long, is some tips. I'll show you those exercises again in a second. But if you have the ability to get a standing desk at home, stand. My boss, she'll probably watch this eventually. My boss, she now has a standing desk because what you're doing right now is so hard on the spine, it's not even funny. We're not built to sit all day long. Think about if you've ever seen images from third world countries and they're sitting around a fire or they're eating dinner. Are they in lazy boys? Are they in futons? What are they in? They got that, I'm not even going to dare to, especially with the camera going. They got that squat, and they just can sit there all day long in that squatted position, just and it doesn't even faze them. Okay, so try to use a standing desk when you can. I didn't even know that. I'm not really a stats guy, but I found this when I was prepping for this presentation. If you stand more than an extra 3 hours a day, you could shed 8 pounds of fat. All right, there's a nice little vote for standing desks. Some of these exercises, we'll talk about them. Musculoskeletal, get that calcium, get the vitamin D. You can't get vitamin D from a lot of foods, but the sun's free. All right, so get 10 or 15 minutes a day of some good quality sunshine, and usually your vitamin D levels will be where they should be. You can also obviously get a supplement for it. Those are $5. Pay cash to me. Calcium, you can get that in most foods. Vitamin D though, fatty foods, fatty fish, not fatty foods, but fatty fish. You can get some, but really the easiest is just go out in the sun for 10 or 15 minutes. The vitamin D helps with immune system, digestive system, muscular and skeletal systems, cardiac, just I can go on and on. Workplace ergonomics, and then I don't know why I just felt motivated to say, hey, try smiling. It takes 17 muscles approximately to smile, 40 plus to frown. So smile. I used to get that email all the time and I'm like, really? All right, spam, but still makes sense, all right? Use less muscles by smiling. But here's some of the exercises you can do. All right, this one in the left corner is called dead bug, where you lay on the ground, you extend, for instance, he or she is extending the left lower extremity, and then they're extending the right upper extremity. So opposite, yeah? So it's boom, bring it back in, boom. That helps to engage your core muscles, your stabilizers, which help to address some of the muscles that have been quiet while you're sitting around doing nothing. Well, I don't want to say doing nothing, but while you're studying for a prolonged amount of time. Superman, who doesn't love Superman? So you lay on the floor, face down, and then you raise your feet, you raise your arms. That's going to engage your extensor muscles as well. Again, that's going to help counteract all those flexors that were doing their work while you were sitting there on the computer all day. Glute bridges, all right? So your Kim Kardashian, your Nicki Minaj, your gluteal muscles. So here she is. All you're trying to do is squeeze your booty together to raise your midsection, and that's going to activate your butt gets real flat, smooth, small with sitting, okay? And then there's another condition, this just came to my mind. There's another condition, speaking of the gluteal muscles. You familiar with the condition known as butt do? Butt do. It's a medical condition. It's where your stomach sticks out more than your booty do. Yeah. So, yeah. Look it up. It's true. It's a true thing. All right. But that's what happens. In my line of work, we have plumbers or we have J-Los. When we talk about patients, plumbers, no booty. J-Lo happens to have a little bit of a booty. And they demonstrate certain types of low back issues when they don't have gluteal muscles. So keep those gluteal muscles working. Sphinx Pose. This is also known as a, what's that, downward dog in yoga terms. Again, that's going to help activate the extensor muscles that have been quiet with prolonged sitting. Good old planks, head to toe, engaging that core. Hold that for about 60 seconds, do 4 or 5 at a time. I already talked to you about this image with what is happening as you're sitting at a desk for an extended amount of time. And then this position in the bottom right corner, this is what's known as the Bruegger relief position. And so what she is doing, imagine you have a string coming out of the top of your head. Now pull that string, that imaginary string, so that you bring your head back over your shoulders. All right, so visualize like you're pulling your body, trying to get it all nice and straight. Then she's engaging, she's squeezing her muscles on her, behind her shoulder blades, engaging those, pulling her shoulders back, and it actually provides a sense of relief. Many of muscles, ligaments will be like, oh, finally I can catch my breath because I'm being put in the right position, okay? But this is what's called, part of the exercise is what's known as negative Z, which simply is taking what you think is normal and pushing your head back. Your ear should essentially be over your shoulder. If you can catch yourself in the mirror and your ear is like this, you've got some anterior head carriage. Keep those ears over your shoulders. Back in the day, Mom used to say, put a book on your head and walk around. We got plenty of them out there, so I don't think Eric would mind. But get that chin tucked back in so that your ears are over your shoulders, and you're gonna feel like, oh, this kind of hurts, but it's your body saying thank you, believe it or not, from the position it was more accustomed to. All right, let's talk about nervous, endocrine, and lymphatic together. When it comes to the nervous system, what's it all about? Stress, possibly anxiety, possibly depression. On the nervous side, stress affects your immune system. The hormone under number 1 up there, cortisol, is a hormone which regulates your stress response, but too much has negative effects on your immune system. Too much cortisol has negative effects on your sleep-wake period as well. All right, and I know it's so much easier to just say, hey, you gotta try to curb your stress, try to control the amount. Really, how do I do that? Is there like a stress medication? I don't think so. But work on controlling your stress however possible. Time management, that's one of the big points to learn as you're a college student, is manage your time so you know, hey, I got to work at this time, I've got an exam coming up, and I still have to take care of A, B, and C. Get a daily timer, get a daily planner, get your phone, Alexa or Siri, helping you out with reminders. Drop AP2. Go ahead, at this point, FSCJ will keep your money. No, never, never. Eye strain. These days, we're talking more about blue light. So get a blue light filter for your computer screen. If you have glasses, you can get blue light filters there. Try not to be in front of a TV or a computer or a tablet or a phone approximately an hour before you call it a night, because that'll keep your brain actually running. When you think it's time to go to bed, your brain will be like, no, I'm still thinking about what we were just doing. Hearing damage, AirPods, those nice snug fitting AirPods or cans that fit real well, and I'm guilty of it. You'll hear me bumping out of here when I leave. But you know, I'm 50, almost 53, I'll do what I want. But anyway, but watch the excessive amount of volume going into those. Have you ever gotten in your car and you start it up and the music makes you jump out of your seat because it's so loud? You get used to it. 8, 9, 10 on the volume, you get used to it. But when you come from a quiet environment and get back in your car and it's still on 8, 9, 10, yeah, it's gonna wake you up, okay? It's gonna wake you up. But that should also be an indicator, maybe I did have it a little bit too loud. Headaches, tension headaches, cluster headaches, migraine headaches. There's different flavors of headaches. They could be due to a variety of issues. That's one we could have a topic on all by itself. But if you see a pattern, that's when you need to make adjustments. Hey, is my computer screen set at the right level? How long am I on the computer screen? Am I hydrated as well? And then I already mentioned shingles. Shingles will just come back, may come back, and remind you about the chicken pox and how much stress you're under. I went ahead and put this down because I wanted to give some shout outs to FSCJ. Number 4, Student Assistance Program. You may not even be aware of this. There is a toll-free, it's free to you guys. And if you're having family issues, maybe some mental issues, maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed. What else is they deal with? Oh, they'll give you legal advice as well. That's a 24-hour number. They've got a local, they've got an 800 number as well. But that's something that FSCJ provides to its students. So if you ever just want to talk to somebody, instead of shooting me an email, no, I'm kidding, but you're welcome to. I'm actually mental health, I can't remember, there's a class I attended at FSCJ to help with mental health for students, so I am one of the resources, but use those numbers if you just feel like you want to talk to somebody and the cost is right, free, okay? Diet, exercise, get into a sleep routine. It doesn't matter if it's Friday night or if it's Tuesday night. Try to go to bed at the same time, try to get up at the same time. That usually helps sleep a little bit better as well. Cardiovascular, sedentary lifestyle. Again, you sit for 2, 3, 4 hours and are studying, you gotta get that heart pumping again. All right, you gotta get that heart pumping again. This study I found, sitting, I can't remember, there's a snapshot saying that some will say, but sitting essentially takes time off your lifespan. So you need to counteract that. So if you sit for an extended amount of time, you got to get up, you got to get moving, you got to get that heart pumping, okay? This study, which frankly was a little depressing in some ways, they found that even if a person sat but still exercised, it was still cutting off some time on their lifespan. So keep moving, check out, try to get a standing desk. I actually built, my first standing desk was just a bunch of phone books back in the day that I could just stack everything up and stand. But now my beautiful wife got me one for Christmas a few years ago. Yeah, great Christmas gift, right? I was like, really? How about birthday or something? But anyway, prolonged sitting. Oh, this is extreme. But if you sit for too long, depending on the type of chair you're in the popliteal fossa, so behind the knee, you can actually compress those vessels that are trying to move that fluid back up towards your heart. So if you sit for too long, you try to put on your shoes and they don't fit like they used to, your feet may be a little swollen. Now just getting up and starting to walk a little bit will milk that fluid back up towards the heart, but in extreme cases, blood clots can form. Blood clots can form, they can rupture, not rupture, but dislodge and get in the circulation and then really become problems. All right, as I tell my classes in anatomy too, if I remember to tell it, these transatlantic flights where people are sitting for 10, 12 hours on a plane, not moving. And usually they're coming from origins that are heavy smokers. Anyway, they'll get to New York. Hey, welcome to New York. They get up, they walk off the plane, and face plant on the gangway, dead, through a clot. Why? Because they smoked. They were sitting for 12 hours, wrong place, wrong time. That's extreme. That's extreme. Oh yeah, smoking's bad. Okay, I think that goes without saying. Respiratory system, I think it's on there as well. With our sedentary lifestyle students, if you're like this, your rib cage will start to harden in a more closed state. And so simply exercising and getting that lung activity will help keep your vital capacity, which is how much you can breathe in and breathe out in one big old inhale and exhale. That rib cage expansion, if it can't do what its normal movement is as you're breathing because it's starting to harden, that means overall your vital capacity is going to be reduced. That usually happens a little later on in life, but still, it just kind of reverts back to exercise, exercise, exercise. Smoking's bad, okay. There are little appendages to our cells in our respiratory tract, in our upper respiratory tract. What are their names, ladies and gents? Cilia, exactly. Smoking destroys those. They're a natural protection of keeping dust and other small particles from going into your lungs. With smoking, those get taken out, and that means particles that normally wouldn't get into your lungs do, and they can build up, and then we start talking about COPD and asthma and all that good stuff. Anybody have asthma? No asthma sufferers in this audience. Good. Every class when we talk about asthma, I'll have a few hands go up. Do you use an inhaler? Yes. Do you use an inhaler? Yes. Where is it? It's in my car. I'm like, is that your pink Hyundai out there? Yeah, how'd you know? Well, God, who couldn't tell? But anyway, how many miles away is that? Okay, if you're gonna have an asthmatic attack, you're not gonna make it to the car. So if you have loved ones that have asthma and have an inhaler, tell them to keep it on them. Get them, bedazzle it for them, right? Put some sparkles on it so they're proud to show it off. I don't know, but I don't want to have to be the one doing rescue breaths on somebody when they got funky breath, when they got funky mask breath or something like that. Nasal spray during the winter months, not very glamorous, but it does help to moisturize the nose. It's a couple bucks at CVS. And then if you do have allergies, pollen's popping right now. Even got a text notification today that get ready for some pollen to blow up in the next few days with these warm temps. But there's a product called the Neti Pot. You can find it at CVS or Walgreens. It just looks like a little teapot. And you put a saline solution in to rinse your nasal cavity. And many, I've never used one, my wife does, but many scream the benefits of it, just running some nasal fluid or some saline fluid through your nasal cavity. Digestive, this one's a little bit busy as well because, as I mentioned in my classes even today, we're a little bit confused on nutrition. And so I threw that in here. Look at number one. The US spends more than $150 billion on health, on obesity-related conditions. We're just throwing money into the fire based on some of what we consume. Another study is showing prepubescent teens. So we're talking somebody 12, 13, 14, already having signs of osteoporosis, which is considered an older condition. But when we have kids who are sitting on the couch, playing Xbox or PlayStation all day, don't know can't ride a bicycle because, I got Tony Hawk on Xbox. Why do I need to ride? He can do it better than I can. They're showing younger trends of osteoporotic-like conditions. Not good. Metabolic syndrome is just a general catch for pathologies that are associated with a poor diet. It's also known as Syndrome X. High blood pressure, hyperglycemia, which is an elevated amount of glucose in your bloodstream, aka you're going down the diabetes avenue. Hyperlipidemia, high cholesterol. Some of the foods we eat, we're getting that bad cholesterol circulating in us. In that same vein, cholesterol is not bad. It gets a bad rap. It's in all of our cells. It helps to build our cell walls, phospholipid bilayer. But what happens is some of the foods that we Americans typically gravitate towards are high in inflammatory markers. And it takes that cholesterol, those cholesterol molecules, and denatures them into stuff that gums up our arteries. That's when it becomes a problem. And even that's a hot topic between different types of practitioners. Increased belly fat, don't judge. Still coming off the holidays, all right? All of that increases the chance of heart attack and or stroke, and you usually don't even see it coming. You're asymptomatic, all right? That's why high blood pressure is called the silent killer. Every time I tell a patient you got high blood pressure, what do they say? Well, I feel fine. Well, that's okay. Go put 50 pounds of pressure in your tires. Your tires look fine, but then try to drive to California and see how far you get. Things happen behind the scenes. Some other digestive related issues, celiac, GERD, irritable bowel. Many can just simply revolve around what we consume in our diets. GERD, if you have a loved one who complains about acid reflux frequently, have them go get it looked at, because that stomach acid is actually coming back up into the esophagus and can lead to esophageal cancer, and that's not fun. That's not a good diagnosis at all. And many of it is due to that tissue is not designed to be exposed to the acidity of the stomach. All right, so have them get it checked out if they're always trying to put out the fire with Tums, for instance. Tell them, slap those out of their hand and tell them to go get it looked at by a professional. Tums, so we're familiar with Tums, right? Tums. I got heartburn, let me take some chalk. Tums creates a vicious cycle because you take Tums, The receptors in your stomach say, hey, stomach acid's not as acidic as it used to be. Kick the factory up, and they'll actually produce more acid. So what do? 3, 4, 5 hours later, you're taking more Tums, and it becomes this vicious cycle. Digestive system, where many of us are confused about nutrition. How many of you eat tilapia? Delightful tilapia. You know I'm setting you up, don't you? I told you earlier, yeah. Many eat tilapia. Basically, any seafood you get that says farm raised, keep on walking. Ignore it. Because what they're feeding shrimp, farm raised salmon, or farm raised tilapia is grain. Just like they would feed a cow, they're throwing it in those ponds. And by those ponds, you might as well just swim in a toilet. So our toilets are actually cleaner than some of those ponds. But those ponds that the fish are swimming in are nasty. Then they're being fed high inflammatory grains. So when you eat that tilapia or that farm-raised salmon or those shrimp, you're actually putting fuel to the inflammatory fire in you. And it's just gonna blow up in you. Okay, so look for wild fish, wild shrimp, right? Mayport shrimp, go get yourself some Mayport shrimp. Some others may say, well, I eat whole grains, and I eat pasta, and I eat brown rice. You'd be better off eating a Snickers. As far as your body's concerned, it's all sugar. Anything white, food-wise, pasta, potatoes, breads, things that we actually love to eat, all equal sugar. So 2 slices of whole wheat bread has more sugar content the way our body looks at it than a Snickers. So I think I'd probably have a Snickers sandwich before a couple whole grain.
So what are you supposed to eat?
You got to eat like a rabbit. And it's so here's where I come down here, number 5, various diets. And I'll get you, Marie. Various diets all boast their benefits. Most of us are confused. So I'm a big believer in the paleo diet, which is eating like the caveman used to eat, which is free-range meat, nuts, and veggies. And even the veggies are a little bit limited on those. Mediterranean is not bad because you can eat dark chocolate and red wine. So that might be a little bit more up your, and then there's keto and there's Atkins, and go on and on and on. But since this is being recorded and probably the government's going to be watching, if you're familiar with the food pyramid or the good plate, it's not, no. Just ignore it. You just got to find what works for you. A lot of the fast food restaurants, that's the biggest downfall. All processed food in America, it can be actually demonstrated when processed foods came to be during the industrial era. That's when our health went in the tank. Yeah, what were we gonna say, Marie?
You mentioned like whole grain, but they said doctors said like they're good for like if you have diabetes, the whole grain bread, that's what's
Well, just like Cheerios, I think it was Cheerios, they would say, well, it's made with whole wheat and it's heart healthy. That's all PR. It's misleading. There's just enough to qualify as heart healthy because there are, and this is where it becomes a double-edged sword. Some of that whole grain is beneficial. It helps to basically absorb cholesterol, bad cholesterol, helps with digestive tract, but it's high in glycemic index, which means it's going to spike your blood sugar and your pancreas is going to have to dump a ton of insulin to get that into your body, and over time your body's going to start ignoring it. It's this vicious cycle.
How about
Sprouted, so like Ezekiel breads, those are the best way to go. So sprouted breads. If you go to a grocery store and you see breads that are in the freezer, those are the ones you want to go towards because the bread that is on shelves is packed full of preservatives, and that's why they're just sitting out on display. Versus the Ezekiel type breads are sprouted grains, slightly healthier. Still going to get a glycemic spike, but not over the top.
So basically when you start,
Yeah. Starch equals flavor. I mean, come on, right? Obviously, I'm not practicing what I preach. But even when I did, what's frustrating is for about 2 years, I was like, all right, I'm going to practice what I preach. A, I was miserable. B, my lipid panel still came back elevated, so that's when I learned about genetics and familial hyperlipidemia, which means you can eat like a rabbit, you're still going to have elevated cholesterol because of your genetics. So even with all of this, it may sound like, don't do this, don't do that, don't. Moderation. Moderation is key. Okay, except when it comes to red wine, then we'll probably debate a little bit more. Okay. For those of you, so sugar. Diet sodas, if it's got aspartame or a derivative of aspartame, aspartame to us is kind of like poison, but it's sweet. So it still gets put out there. But that paragraph that talks about aspartame can affect your immune system, cardio, kidneys, you just go on and on. So if you see aspartame or any sweet and low type sweeteners, avoid them. Be on the lookout for stevia. Stevia is bueno. Stevia is good stuff. Agave, still going to have a little bit of a spike, but not nearly as bad as regular sugar. Okay, so there's some other examples. Look for stevia, raw honey, maple syrup.
Coconut sugar.
Coconut sugars are tasty as well.
What is raw sugar? It's not like the brown stuff, is it?
Yeah, so it's unprocessed, correct. Unbleached, unprocessed. And say again? Yep. Brown sugar has molasses in it, but so it's regular table sugar with molasses. So you want to keep away from that too. Get all your antioxidants with your fruits. Too much of a good thing can be bad, so watch your fruit intake. And then again, do your research. Paleo, vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, keto. You can go on and on with all these various diets. Eat a ton of protein, eat no protein, eat high carbs, eat no carbs. Some celebrity went on like an all potato diet. The guy, he's like the comic book guy. I can't remember his name now. He's also a movie director. Who? Kevin Smith. He had a heart attack and his doctor said lose weight. And there's a diet where you can cook your potatoes, because potatoes are bad, so they say. But then if you eat them cold, they don't have the glycemic index that they do when they're heated. I don't have a clue, but he ate potatoes and only potatoes for months and dropped a ton of weight. But, I mean, I like my potatoes, but I don't know if I could do them that long. Urinary system, again, stay hydrated. That general rule of half an ounce per pound of body weight. Watch your caffeine intake. Look, coffee is the nectar of the gods, in my opinion, but too much caffeine is hard on your cardiovascular and your urinary systems. So watch your caffeine intake. Energy drinks, high in caffeine. Again, caffeine turns into two things. It's a diuretic, which makes you shed water, and then you got to drink more water. And then if you're not drinking water, you're going to drink another energy drink. Again, another vicious cycle. And then, so you've got caffeine as a diuretic, but also caffeine is just hard on our blood vessels. Kidney stones, nobody wants those. Nobody wants kidney stones, but if you don't drink enough water, flush out your kidneys. You drink a lot of caffeinated beverages, you may have, or you may just have bad luck and genetically be predisposed to kidney stones, but nobody in their right mind wants to pass a kidney stone. For the fellas, they say kidney stone is the closest, passing a kidney stone for the fellas is the closest thing we can experience to what it feels like giving birth. So let's avoid that, shall we? All right.
Or we need to do both at the same time.
And then my wife, of course, she had to chime in again. She said, well, tell them that the Southeast is known as the kidney stone belt. I had never heard that before, but it makes sense because we love our sweet tea. I hope so, but I know I do. But sweet tea, I'm wondering if it's due to sweet tea. I think so, because of just how prominent that lovely, sugary, delicious water is. All right, but again, sweet tea, high in sugar, Tea is a diuretic as well, so can have, nobody wants kidney stones. UTIs, urinary tract infection. UTIs are more common in females than males because of the urethra setup. You guys in my class will learn about that near the end of the semester. And that's where number 4, ladies, hopefully mom shared that bit of wisdom with you. Front to back, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, I am not going to expand on that at all. All right, I'm not going to expand on that at all. Okay? I just said front to back. Front to back's not a bad word. I didn't say anything. And if they haven't had the talk yet, they're going to get it soon. Reproductive system, I'm not going there. But for male and female, STIs, they're not Ds. You may know them as sexually transmitted diseases. That's wrong. They're infections. All right? But just Google it if you want. Well, what kind is he talking about? Google it and click on images, and that'll make you close your laptop up. What's that, John?
What's the difference?
Back in the day, they were known as STDs.
That's what I was taught.
Correct. Same here. They're not diseases. They're infections.
Because they can cure them now? With the advent of penicillin?
An infection, so a disease, the definition of a disease versus an infection are just different.
Okay.
Yeah. College life, maybe you meet your next significant other, so again, wrap that rascal, I guess. And then breast exams for the ladies, testicular exams for the fellas, never too early to start those. 1 in 8 ladies, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. So there's more than 8 women in this room right now. You're picking up what I'm putting down? So when it comes to breast cancer, on channel 4, is she? I don't know, one of the news channels, she'll always remind you about the buddy check and all that stuff. True story, real fast about the buddy check. Holy cow. This is the last slide, or one of. So I can't remember the news personality would always talk about the buddy check. That sounds right, Judy Blaylock. I was talking to my mother-in-law about the buddy check. She said, yeah, I go over to my sister's house and we check each other. I'm like, no, that's not what the buddy check is. You're just reminding a buddy to check themselves, not like, hey, okay, what do you think here? What do you think there? They were checking each other, and I'm like, no, just remind each other about the buddy check, not check each other. That's awkward, okay? Possible solutions. You can do the math on that. For the ladies, I love this stat. Look at that. So somehow they can measure pain. I have no idea. But look, giving birth is the equivalent of breaking 20 bones at the same time. God bless the ladies.
But you're putting on those little machines that they can hook up to the men and make them feel the pain.
Oh, you're going to see that. You'll see it this semester. It's not nearly as accurate, but again, it's getting closer. That's for sure. That's why I just think that the female sex is by far tougher than the fellas. Tougher. Touche. That's where the hormone oxytocin comes in. That's the hormone that scientists believe helps the mother forget some of what she went through during labor. And it's also the hormone that helps mother and newborn link together more so. Say again?
So you get trapped in having another kid again.
Sucker! That's the body systems. Summer registration is open in case you haven't started picking classes for summer. There's our beautiful campus. That's downtown. I don't know who that guy is. But I didn't realize it. I was wondering if we'd have time, but it's 1. I don't know if you have any questions, but most of you know where to find me. Then there's also this thing called email. But I appreciate you coming out and listening to me blah, blah, blah for an hour or so.